Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have David K. Warfel. His title is Chief Evangelist of Light. Well, he's a Midwestern farm boy, so he's trying to be charming. That's good. Turned lighting designer, author, and educator who passionately shares the gift of light. Whether blogging at languageoflight.blog, writing for fine home building technology designer and houzz.com, that's HOUZZ.com, or designing residential and entertainment experiences from coast to coast like butter and toast, David simply wants to help others live better lives through the scientific and artistic application of radiant energy. Wow, that's a good line. From the local theater to Carnegie Hall, from his parents' kitchen to multi-million-dollar homes like Greg Eric's, from pizza joints to Las Vegas Strip, from school cafeterias to Royal Caribbean cruise lines. That's right, you can find David's work everywhere. He's hiding out, but he's there. David is endlessly fascinated by the power of light to reveal and transform space. But before we get there, we got to go to nuvo.us, Greg. And Energy Focus is launching a whole new website for the Nuvo line. So original.
They are. And usually we don't show the product, but when I have it right in front of me, I got to show it to you. This is our Nuvo Traveler. It's a UVC air disinfector, 99.9% effective, constant disinfection, filter-free technology, rechargeable battery right there. You can plug it in, lasts up to 4 hours. Take it with you in the car, office, home, and protect your personal space. Really easy to operate too. Push a button for speed one,
Okay.
push it twice for
This
speed
is
two.
not so you can clean the margarita you're rolling with, right? This is actually cleaning the air in the space
Cleaning
you're
the
in.
air.
It's active air disinfection that you take with you. So if you're one of those COVIDians and you're out there and you're scared, you just wave that in everybody's face and kill all the germs. And if you're just
safe.
trying to do a little bit of hygiene theater, or if you want to help people put that on their desk, man, I'm going to order some of those right now, Greg Garrick. You can find more information on them at nuvo.us. So original, Energy Focus, and energyfocus.com, of course, as well. Proud members of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. That's NAILD.org. That's right. Join us, Greg and I, and the rest of the crew who are members of NAILD. But for right now, let's talk to the, what does he say here? He likes to apply radiant energy. Let's go. What's up, David?
Nice to be here. I don't know what any of that stuff in the bio means, but it sounds pretty. So.
Sure does. You got to know. So you had to handle a hog or two in your life, then, eh, Midwestern farm boy? What do you got, or is it corn? Or?
So no. It was all corn and soybeans for us.
Okay.
Yeah, we handled cats. That was about it, barn cats. But no, I spent most of my mornings, out in the fields. So.
You know what's funny is that I actually have a corn/soybean farm myself. And there's this old adage, and we'll turn it over to Greg Garrick one second. I want to clear something up from everybody. Okay, farmers that raise livestock, those guys work like dogs. Okay, but these soy and corn farmers, I mean, there's some intense times in the fall and in the spring, but the rest of the time they're chopping firewood. Greg Garrick, over to you.
Good opening there. So, David, I was reading a little bit about your background, and I see you're a lighting designer, and dive right into it. The promise of good lighting. You said 5 promises of better lighting on your website. Explain that to us, what you mean by that, what they are, and what you mean.
Yeah, it's a good question. In lighting design, we often talk about what? We talk about task, ambient, and accent, as the lights and as sort of the layers we need. And as I was trying to work with homeowners and clients who don't speak the secret language of light, I realized I'd have better results and better conversations if we started talking about why we needed different kinds of light. And that's where the 5 promises came up. It's just fancy language. There's nothing real magical about them, but it is. The 5 layers are, we need light to help us see what we're doing so we can do it better. Like, that's why we need that light, is so that we can do it better. We need light to help us know where we are and where we're going, who's with us, what they're thinking and feeling by revealing the features on their face. That's just, we just need light to helps us know more. Then we need light that helps us feel better. And of course, over the last, 10 or 20 years, that category in and of itself has exploded as we've understood the science, as more studies have come out. It's not just about feeling good and feeling comfortable, although that's a key component. It's actually about physically feeling better, right? And living a better life. So we just need the right kind of light that helps us feel better. The fourth is we need light to help us focus on what's important. What are we trying to look at? What are we trying to pay attention to? What is important, and are we looking at the right place at the right time? So that focus is important. And then the fifth promise is really light can help us adapt to changes more easily. So those can be changes in mood, changes in weather, changes in time of day, changes in season, changes as our eyes age. Change. The old adage, "Change is the only constant," is certainly true. And light can either be fixed and not help us at all through all of those transitions, or it can be dynamic and actually support a good full life.
And the key word I saw in all five of those is that it can do that. You wrote the word can. So how can it? How do you get it to do that? Do you need a lighting
Uh, that's
designer? Can I do it?
that's a good
What do we do?
question. Yeah, it's a good question. I suppose I'd never really thought about that before, but the opposite of that is light cannot, right? So depending on how we put it into our house or our workplace or our schools or whatever, light can do those things. But the reason we talk about them as promises is that not everybody's getting those, right? If everybody was getting all of the benefits of light, then we wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have a career. And in some ways, I'd be okay with that because it means the world is in a better place because people are living better lives. Now, in we don't see that, right? We don't see people getting all of those benefits. How does it happen? Do you have to have a lighting designer? There's nothing magical about lighting design. There's nothing so difficult or so deeply scientific that you have to have a PhD in this or understand that. Like lighting, good lighting can be accessible to everybody. The reason people hire lighting designers is that we spend all day every day all year long learning this stuff, so it's easy for us. It's easy for us to take all of the given factors in a situation and say, here's what we recommend for you in lighting. But somebody who wants to read websites, somebody who wants to think about it, somebody who wants to dig into the science at least at a surface level, you can figure it out. And if you want to simplify it all, it's good lighting really is just live in a tent and you'll have everything you need at the right time. That's so if you use that as the baseline and say, how close can I get to that in my indoor environments, then you're going to be moving in the right direction.
Nice. And in terms of residential and commercial, are you doing primarily one or the other? Is it an even split?
It's a good question. We meaning me, I suppose, back when it was just a one-man show, was maybe 90% commercial, 95% commercial, and 5% residential. And about 5 years ago or so, I started to see this opportunity in the residential sector for doing lighting design in a different way, for doing lighting design for a different group of people. So, residential lighting design has been dominated by extraordinary designers who put extraordinary amounts of time and energy into each individual project, meaning it's highly custom tailored to the individual and it costs a lot of money. And I
Mm.
realized there's if there's 1 million houses being built this year, maybe 1,000 of them have a lighting designer, maybe. So that leaves an awful lot of houses that don't. We started working in that direction, and now we're probably 90% residential and 10% commercial.
Wow.
I think that there's a problem with design. I mean, I think design is fundamentally lighting design. Interior design is actually lighting design first. That's the first and most important thing in the space, rather because you can change the paint colors with the color of the light. You can change the way things look. And so when they say that there's no lighting designer, somebody is designing the light. Whether or not they have any credentials or they know what they're doing is a different kind of question. Um, what benefits can you bring other than just subtracting the negatives?
Uh, we think about the difference between lighting layout and lighting design. We talk about that a lot. And I think what you just mentioned, and there's going to be design. Somebody is choosing where to put the fixtures, what fixtures to put in. They're making choices about color temperature and which surfaces are being illuminated, etc. Somebody is making those choices. And generally speaking, especially in the residential sector, those choices are being made by the most junior member of the design team. They are finding the center line of the room, they're dividing it by equal segments, and they're putting circles on a plan. And that's the sum total of the design that goes into it. And in production build, the design choice is satin, nickel, or bronze. That's it. That's the only choice that most homeowners are given when it comes to lighting. And so what can we add? What can we bring to the table? Think about arriving at your favorite restaurant for dinner. You're taking your SO out for dinner, right? And you want a really nice romantic place. You take them to this place. It's got a great atmosphere. Now take them to Walmart to the snack bar. And what's the difference? Of course, the food's different, the environment's different, but the lighting is also completely different. So when we do what we do everything. People ask us what's different about lighting design versus what we already have on our plans. And I say everything, actually. We're not even going to put our circles in nice rows anymore because I'm not lighting the carpet. I'm lighting the cabinets. I'm lighting the walls. I'm lighting the fireplace. I'm putting light in there for purpose. So it's really just stopping, thinking about every space, how people are going to use it and how a specific person is going to use it, and making sure that the light is there to support their biology and their geometry, and not just, hey, it's like gas station canopy lighting. There's light everywhere. Great, we're covered. Move on to the next room.
Yeah, there's different applications. It's not to say that Walmart is bad. It's just
Right.
that's just what it is. But how do you help people's biology?
Well, so we learn more every day. In fact, just this
Hmm.
week, one of our team members who just spends lots of time following the research shared with us that there's another layer of cells in the eye that they just discovered. And they know part of the neural pathway of what it connects to. So it's taking in light and it's sending it to the brain, but they're not actually sure entirely what those cells are doing. It's not vision, right? It's not telling us what we see. It's doing something. It's triggering some response in our brain and we don't even know. But in the last 20 years, we have figured out that and we love acronyms in lighting, as you know, the IPRGCs, of course, are taking that light in, not translating to a picture, but triggering the circadian rhythm in our brain and in our body. And that's a whole host of bodily functions, including the primary bodily function, right? Like that's regulated on a 24-hour cycle. And when we disrupt that, we live in a perpetual state of jet lag. So the 40-foot candles that I was taught to design to, if we spend all day under 40-foot candles, we are in a perpetual state of twilight, and we don't sleep as well. Our cognition goes down. Endocrine function is impacted. And mostly, how can you quantify these things? I mean, it's deep, technical science. I can't heal you. I can't guarantee you better life, or perfect health, but I can be more supportive of it instead of less supportive of it. I
How do
can
you
work
do
in your
that?
favor instead of against it.
How do you do that when you don't know what time they're going to be under the lights and stuff like that? Like, how do you solve that dilemma? See, because
Uh,
we talk about health effects of lighting, and there's kind of different angles coming at it. They're almost like two stars that are comets that are going to crash into one another. One of them is controllability. So if you hand someone the ability to tune a light fixture or to dim it or to control it in any way, you're offering them choice. If you tell them that you're going to give them something that helps their circadian rhythm, they don't have a choice over that anymore. So how do you as a lighting designer solve the problem that choice leads to uncertain outcomes, and prescriptive is the only way that you could actually impact someone's circadian rhythm?
you know, you remind me of like the end of the second Matrix film. It's like it all comes down to choice. Everything's about choice, and that's the quintessential human condition. In this case, it really depends on the application. So, from a residential standpoint, we have an individual or two or three individuals who are going to make all those choices. In an institutional setting, say a school or a hospital, somebody else is making those choices for everybody, more or less. So the answers to those questions are different depending on the application. In our sector, in the residential sector, where we do most of the work, the solution we present, we have to know the control solution at the same time, because most of them are not compatible. They don't talk to each other. And basically what we tell the people, the integrators, the custom integrators that we work with, is you need a control system that's already done the math. You need a system that's already figured it out, so that all the homeowner has to do is say, yes, I want the natural sequence. And then it happens. And are there going to be overrides? Absolutely, there are going to be overrides. Is there an ability for them to come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and pump 5,000 degrees Kelvin at, full brightness? They're going to have that capability. So in terms of guaranteeing their wellness, we would have to totally educate them. They'd have to wear their little daisimeter. We'd have to live in the house with them. Like, we can't control people that much, as I think you were pointing out. So we do the best we can. And in that case, it's automating as much of it as possible, so that it's so that it's synchronized to natural light.
See, the key point for me, Greg, and I don't know is this 5,000K in the morning and then the elimination of blue light at night. That would be the fundamental thing that you could give people, is to remove the blue light. Now, what we know from the research is that even though something could be dim to warm, say, an LED is dim to warm, that it will still be emitting that blue light. It will just be tinted in some way, but it still has the negative impact of the blue light. So that, we can give them that burst in the morning. Like if you had your mirror in your bathroom or something, and there was two sconces on either side that were hitting you really hard with, let's say, 5,000 or a ton of lux, put it that way, at a certain Kelvin temperature, that would have the effect of waking you up. We know that. How do you deal with the LEDs when we know that they're still emitting that bad spectrum even though the light's been tinted? It's like almost like a shade over top of the LED or something.
Well, as we understand it, the blue, that blue spike is critical to resetting our circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. But it's just that we are more sensitive to that than we are to, say, an amber light, a 2,700 degrees Kelvin light. So, we kind of subscribe to the LRC, or, well, now it's with Mount Sinai, we kind of describe to their school of thought that says, actually, I could do an entirely circadian entrained home with 2,700 degrees Kelvin if I just get the intensity right. So in other words, in the morning, if I blast you with zillions, right, of lux of 2,700K, I can wake you up. And if I use saturated blue in the wrong spectrum, but I use just a tiny bit of it bouncing off the ceilings for a night sky, I'm going to totally relax. And the color temperature is important, I think, but in the residential sector, we see it as important because warm dim is perfect in the evening, and it looks like orange dim in the middle of the day. And
it's true.
Blue light is, 6,000K is great in the day, and it looks like, well, I can't say it on the air probably, but it looks terrible at night, right? It's just like as institutional and froyo as you possibly can get, and it's just like, I can't live here. It's just getting it at the right time, at the right, the right place at the right time.
There's nothing worse, Greg, than walking into someone's kitchen and they have like 6,500K MR16s. It's like, oh God, what's the matter with you?
Blasting at you.
Yep.
So that kind of leads into my next question. They have that right now. Let's say, whenever I think of lighting design, I think it's new construction. But are you going into existing residential and commercial spaces and redesigning the lighting that's there right now? Are you seeing a lot of that?
We personally don't see a lot of it. When we see it, it's guts. It's gut remodels, or at least they're willing to do some pretty major surgery to the ceiling. And that's one of the tough parts of lighting, is that it's stuck in there, and the decisions you make when you build the space, and nowadays, if you're putting an LED fixture in, I mean, you're stuck with that decision. Like, if you're waiting for it to burn out, you're stuck with that decision for a very long time. And when we talk about getting the right light in the right place, when we go into a space and it's 4 cans and a fan in the master bedroom, like, I'm sorry, but those lights are not in the right place. Like, I can't change the light bulb and make it much better. I can maybe put in a warm dim, retrofit lamp, and it's going to be more pleasant at night, but I'm still lighting the carpet and I'm missing the point. So for us, it's been really tricky to figure out how to get good lighting into retrofit situations when the only thing we can change is the color temperature, because that's just one of the components of good lighting.
Right. And I see on your website you have 3 different services you offer in terms of lighting design packages. That's nice. It kind of breaks it down: essential, signature, unlimited. Um, and with all of that stuff, though, and I've always kind of wondered lighting design, but I'm guessing it's a lot like me. How do you determine what fixture to choose? You just have to do as much research as you can beforehand to know what might fit here.
Well, lighting designers spend a stupid amount of time keeping up on fixtures. But of course, none of us can keep up on all of it. So I had a client ask me the other day, well, what if we find a substitution? And I said, well, send it to me and I'll take a look at it, because if I specify brand X, 9 times out of 10, there's another brand out there somewhere that will provide a fixture that will do just as good a job, right? But I can't physically learn all of the product lines of all of the manufacturers in this space. It's impossible. So do we play to favorites? Any lighting designer that tells you they don't play favorites is lying to you, right? Because we do. Now we all say, oh, we choose the best fixture for the client, but it basically means we choose the fixture we know the most about for the client. And that means we've been to their factory and on the fishing trip, or whatever it is that got us to know that fixture. So do we play to favorites? Yeah, we have a short list of lines, and our method to market, we work a lot with custom integrators, and our method to market is finding out the if the custom integrator is in that space and wants to sell those fixtures, then we try to provide a specification that can be sourced from one place, so that the system that is completely provided by and integrated by a single source, so that when the light flickers, you have one phone call. And most of the time it doesn't flicker because we've matched a fixture with a control system to make it all work.
Now, I read on your Language of Light blog that you were asked to define the catchy term human-centric lighting. Mike and I have tried. Give us your rundown on that. How do you define it?
Yeah. The term human-centric lighting is one of the key indicators that the lighting industry is messed up, right? The fact that we have something called human-centric lighting is like, what the heck have you been selling me for the last 130 years? If it wasn't human-centric, right? So human-centric is a catchy marketing term that is basically a new way to say it's profit-centric, but we're not telling you that. We're making it based on your health, but of course it's profit-centric. So I hear people define it in a lot of different ways as saying, okay, it's lighting that responds to the human need. And in that case, then it should just be good lighting. It should just be good lighting design. It should just be good. It shouldn't be human centric. Everyone should have that. But I think in general, one of the reasons I hate the term is that I see a lot of times it's just used for CCT. So it's like, okay, it's human centric. What's that mean? That means you can get 6,000K at 10 a.m. and you can get 2,000K at 9 p.m. And that's like ignoring everything else that lighting does for us and just focusing on the color temperature. So I think human centric is a beautiful term. It's a very catchy marketing term. And I totally get why manufacturers use it, because you got to have something, you got to have some way to talk about it. But it is, I think, unfortunately, it gives the aura to the customer, to some of the customers, that we're just selling snake oil. And that, I think, is the problem. Do I have a better alternative? I'm not that good.
Well, I think the fundamental problem with the term human-centric lighting is that, by definition, any electric light is human-centric. By
It should
definition.
be. Right.
No,
It
it's
should
been
be.
created for human use.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, candles maybe could be thrown in there too. The sun is not human-centric lighting. Um, your light bulb, or whatever it is human-centric because it's made for humans. To have a visible light on when there's absence of visible light. That's, that's why it's kind of a stupid term.
Yep.
It's also the idea that I think one of the things that we need to add as an industry is that this should be the lighting and darkness industry. It should be both things, right? So a fundamental interest that our trade organization is trying to move forward with the IDA and the IES is the restoration and preservation of natural darkness. And that darkness is a kind of is as much of a concern for our industry as light is. And so when you're talking about anything, that helps human health, the only thing you're referring to, everything else comes after this. All the gains from the health effects of lighting come from better sleep. So you help people sleep better, then you have everything else. They're more alert. They're more whatever. Lighting design, if you're talking about a health benefit, people like well-designed spaces for reasons other than sleep and alertness. You have they've proven it. You send a group of people into a low light, low dimmed environment, they will speak. Their volume goes down. They move slower. Okay. You send people into a room with brighter lights, they'll walk faster and talk louder. So this idea of cueing, I think the idea of cueing humans is fundamental to the future of whatever you want to call this, whether it's this idea of taking the aspects of theatrical lighting and incorporating them into general lighting is really what human-centric health effect circadian is really all about, is that every lighting system now can be a theatrical kind of lighting system where you're able to deliver an experience that, one, makes people act a certain way, two, aids their sleep, and three, is fundamental to the use of the room. And those are the three things that I think need to come together from the lighting design perspective. What are your thoughts on that, David?
I love the way you talk about it. There's a couple of different,
Ooh,
I think we
thank
could
you.
talk about your statement and just, yeah, I think we could talk about different components of your statement for, an hour each. The dark sky piece being, a big one of saying, what, if it's not doing something for us, if it's going into the air, then it's just a total waste and a disaster for everybody involved. Um, that's a huge component of lighting design. I agree with you. We're trying to educate our clients. You know what? Let's not put up lights on the house. Let's find another way to make it feel comfortable when you come home, but not be spotlighting the sky. But your comment about the theatrical approach, I actually, my background is a good example of this. I'm sitting in a room that has a dark background. So, because I spend most of my days on Zoom, and that background has been designed to look good on Zoom, but from a point just out of the camera range, the entire room in front of me is white because I don't want to work in a black room. So, I've created a theatrical moment that makes my office look really cool to people who are meeting with me on Zoom, but I've also then arranged the rest of my office so that it's bright and active, and it kind of takes those two rooms you described, and it says I want the client to feel that and I want to feel this, and I put it in there. And DMX, which we see in all of the color changing technologies, or most of the color technologies out there, we all know that's a 30-year-old theatrical um, protocol. We've been using that forever. And we have a lot of designers on staff, myself included, who have a theatrical background. And there's nowhere that people get more specific about dimming and percentage levels and precise color and precise focus than theater. I mean, if it's off by 2% in a dimming level, we freak out about it, and it's that way for a moment, and then we change it for the next moment, and then we change it for the next moment. So a typical theatrical play can have 300 light fixtures above the stage. And it may look like a living room on stage, but we're lighting it with 300 lights, and we're changing the lighting in it 150 times during the hour act. We're never going to get that into a home. but we have the capability now to at least get closer to it, to be able to support moment to moment. And I'm going to have to think about that theatrical piece and say, okay, are we doing enough here? Are we doing enough to set the scene?
Yeah, I agree. I think that what you're seeing is the combining of the art of theatrical lighting into general use applications. And LEDs and this dim to warm is really handing you the paint, and the palette is the room or the space like never before. And if there's something positive, really positive about LEDs outside the energy benefits, it's really that you can do all these things if you have the skills, the technical skills, the savvy, the understanding. You can really do something spectacular for people. But how do you keep it simple, David? Because controls are a pain in the ass.
Right. Well, that's, I think, the $100 billion question is, how do we keep it simple? Because the light bulb technologies are out there, the wireless communication protocols are out there, the apps are out there, the astronomical time clocks are out there, but getting them to play well together is not an easy thing. It's not plug and play, and that we've trained the general population to know this about lighting, on or off. And when we expand beyond that into all of these possibilities, we say, wait, which button do I push? No, if it's this, do I slide over here? Or wait, my phone needs to sync. Like, wait, I can't turn my lights on because they're updating. Like, it becomes a
Yeah,
real pain in the
for
neck
sure.
in this
It's worse than
forward
that.
forward. Yeah, yeah. So
It's actually a
there's a
lot
few
worse than that. Yeah.
manufacturers who are doing it, but they're controlling the ecosystem so that they can make sure it all plays well
Yeah, they
together.
wanted to. It's so weird trying to like lock everything up like that. Like, sorry, but you're not a software development company. You're a lighting company. But
Right.
here's what here's what I would propose. So this is Get a Grip Studios. So we do podcasts not just for me, but for anybody that wants to do podcasts. And a lot of people say to me, "Oh, humans have short attention spans, except for me, of course, the person saying it. All those stupid humans out there, they won't listen to my show. Maybe your show is crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you're not producing good content. Maybe the problem is you." And I say the same thing to the controls companies. Like, you know what? There's maybe it's not them. That's the problem here, okay? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your system is very difficult to use. Maybe it's hard to commission. Maybe somebody doesn't want to have to buy a phone that has the latest Bluetooth Android Marshmallow update on it. Maybe their phone's not capable of having that. Maybe you went bankrupt and now you're not updating your system, Greg Eric, or you know what I'm saying? Like, people are not stupid. They can get in a herd mentality. Yes, there's herd mentality. But when you're talking about innovation, humans will change like that if the benefits are obvious or they're addicted to it. You can either addict them or give them hyper benefits, and oftentimes those things are the same thing. So we've seen humans change very quickly in the last 15, 20 years in my life. And so the idea that humans won't change is not true. The benefits have to be obvious and relevant and easy to adapt to. And if you do that, people will do it very quickly, which is why I'm very bullish on these. Energy Focus, who's the sponsor of this show, has a very simple wall switch which controls some of their products, which offers dimming and tuning. And so you're introducing people to the tunability of lighting in the same way as they know how to use a dimmer. I think that's very powerful. Just to give people the opportunity with the N-Focus system to I can change the color of these lights and I can change the light level. Oh, that makes a lot of sense to me because Jimmy wants it 5,000K and Susie wants it 2,700K. Okay, no problem. We'll just put these in every office. So dimming and tuning are kind of very similar to one another. And I think, that's one way we can introduce people to that. It's a wall switch. They use it. Everybody loves the N-Focus system. It's so easy to use. So I think we have to, as integrators and designers and distributors, we have to be wary of complexity. Complexity after installation is the killer of any control. I just went on a rant of any control system, David. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you help your clients, particularly the residential ones, navigate all this?
Well, I think you're You're absolutely right in that we complicate things. As an industry, we overcomplicate things, and frankly, if you have to use your phone for your lights, then we've gone too far.
Hmm.
Because the general client isn't gonna they're not going to do that. You have the few people who are okay, I'll play with the app a couple of times the first month
Hmm.
I own the stuff, and then I'm
Yes.
never going to take it out again. But you know what, if you put something like a simple wall box control that gives them another level of control, then yeah, it's much more likely that people are going to use it. And it's kind of like the lighting industry is a mess, and it's nobody's fault, and it's everybody's fault. It's like
Mhm.
it's nobody's fault that most homes are built at best with a bunch of disc lights that are color selectable CCT, right? That's like the best for most of the houses. Never mind that in a cathedral ceiling, those things are glare bombs and
Oh man, it's
incredibly
disgusting.
inefficient. It's nobody's fault, but it's everybody's fault. Like you said, if we didn't sell that stuff, nobody would buy it. Um, but we've created this sort of race to the bottom and race to simplification and race to commodification that's left us in a position where we've trained the homeowners to spend nothing on lighting, and we've trained the homeowners to know nothing about lighting, and we've trained them to do nothing when they walk into a space. So from our standpoint in our business, like half of our design process is client education. And we have to break it into little bits. Nobody wants to sit and listen to me lecture for an hour. So it's little bits here and there so that by the time we get to the end, they're making an intelligent choice about whatever it is we're asking them to make an informed choice about.
That's so
And they make the
exhausting,
right
though.
choice.
That's so
Yeah.
exhausting, though, dude. Like,
Yeah.
when you're
You
sitting with someone, like, I feel like screaming at them, I'm the host of the Get a Grip on Lighting
But
podcast.
the
Like, why are
difference,
you not
Mike,
listening to me? What's that?
the difference between you and I and David is David gets paid up front for his services. You and
Oh,
I give our services and then hope they buy our stuff.
okay,
So
right.
that's the
maybe we
difference.
charge
Yeah.
up
Right.
front.
Yeah, maybe
I
I
mean,
should start
honestly,
charging.
how are we going to change this, right? How are we going to change?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I wonder about is how are we going to change it? And frankly, until we
I don't
buy
know. I
out
don't
Chip
think
and
we know what to
Joanna,
change it to.
right?
I don't think we know what
Well,
to
that's
change
true.
it to.
Yeah,
I'm serious when I
but we
say
could do
that.
better.
I think that you talked about Mount Sinai Lighting Research Center there. I think they're doing a lot of good work to get this information out to the public. But Greg, I'll go throw it over to you here because you're the one always talking about leadership in the industry and the vacuum that's existing right now.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I think that's what needs to be solved is somebody needs to step up and say, this is what it is. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. What is human-centric lighting? What is it? What do we call it? We don't know, right? There isn't it. It
Right.
just is. Is there a
I
marketing gimmick term we should use?
I mean, given our current society and the way we make decisions and the herd mentality, if you will, I mean, I really think that the leadership in terms of the industry, like we've got great leaders in the industry here and there. There
Sure.
is no, there is no Elon Musk or you know or Thomas Edison, right at the moment, who is the central figure or the central voice who's driving the entire conversation. There's nobody like that, and I don't know that we need that, but there is. That means there's a vacuum in leadership. There's a vacuum in direction, and my personal sort of favorite go-to solution is we actually need an HGTV show that becomes popular, and then we can change the conversation. It's like you got to start as a populist movement, to say,
Yeah.
hey, you can do shiplap now. Let me take you to another level in terms of what you can do in your home.
You're so right
And,
about that, David. You're so
people
right
watch it
because
and then,
my wife watches this show called Love It or List It. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, oh God. Okay, so they're doing this reno, and it's just like a night. I hate see renos, so I've renovated so many houses. I'm not interested anymore in watching people do it. But they never talk about lighting. They almost never talk about it. And they never bring it up. They never talk about how the room was lit. You're absolutely right about that. It's something that could, I don't know if we need a whole new show, but it's something where you could call people like that and say, look, the fundamental part of your design, Missy, that you won with is the lighting that people can see it in. Like, can we start bringing that conversation to the table? If you had someone like that really was an advocate for it and put a stake in the ground, it would make a big, I think you're right. I think it would make a big difference. That's for sure.
I think we could change public opinion, and
Yeah,
I
for sure.
think that there's a reason why lighting isn't on those shows. It's because it usually looks bad on camera at night. Like it's just not done well enough to look good on camera. Lighting
Mm.
for the camera is totally complicated. And we're concerned more about the aesthetics of the chandelier than we are about whether or not it actually puts light on the table. So you get, this disconnect between the daytime aesthetics of lighting, which is about the only thing that people will talk about on those kinds of shows or in the public. Or you go to buy a chandelier, you buy it in the daytime. You shop it on a catalog, they show it turned off in a space during the day. Like that's how we buy light fixtures. Of course people can't make educated decisions based on that. They're deciding whether they like the shape of it and the color of it. So we could do a better job, but it is going to take a pretty significant change, I think, to the sort of mass media culture that's being consumed at the moment, because it's all daytime and it's all
Mhm.
overlit. I saw an article in a magazine, a home, renovation magazine, that was talking about a bright basement remodel. And every single photograph is this beautiful bright basement. It had no windows. That was one of the things they talked about. There were no light fixtures turned on in any of the photos. And
Mm.
you're like, no one actually has any idea what that space looks like.
Sure.
None, because it was completely lit with photography lighting. All of the light fixtures were literally turned off. And they said, here's a nice bright basement. I look at it and say, it's actually not nearly that bright in real life.
So,
So we
what's
just
interesting
mislead
is
them.
I have a huge love of sun tunnels and skylights. So, um, I have a contractor that I've worked with for years, and I always put skylights in my showers. Okay. So if we have a shower, you put a skylight above the shower. And he's like, well, why do you do that? It's such a pain in the ass. You have to have this huge fan up there to get rid of all the thing. And it's on a sensor. So you walk in the shower, that big fan comes on, it stays on for 30 minutes after. So there's no vapor and all that sort of stuff. But I'm like, that's a circadian rhythm cracker, buddy. You get up in the morning. It doesn't work so well in Canada in the winter, but in the spring and summer, when you get up for your shower at 7 in the morning, the sun is bombing into that shower, and you're bathing in sunlight and in water, brother. Now,
Ooh,
almost
nice.
every single shower he does in a high end home has a skylight in it. I said, you should be paying me commission, you son of a bitch. But
We
anyway,
should, yeah.
I mean, it's such a wonderful place for a skylight because that's where you're going in the morning if you want to hit someone's circadian rhythm. Yeah, sure, in the winter it's dark in the morning. But, in that summertime, in that spring, you get in there, you're getting smashed with sunlight. It's such a wonderful, pleasurable experience. And people don't even really, once they see there's a skylight in a shower, every shower should have a skylight in it. I think they should put that in the
Yes,
building code.
people love outdoor showers.
There
It's
you
like a
go.
Yep.
thing. It's like a design thing. And then we're like, we love an outdoor shower, and our shower in the master bath is going to be in a closet. You're like, there's
Yeah,
got to be
exactly.
somewhere in between. The
Oh,
skylight is
dude,
a
I'm
step
telling you,
in
put
the
the
right
skylight in the
direction.
shower, dude. Sun tunnels in
Mhm.
everybody's rooms, big windows. Boom. Like at my the home I'm renovating right now, you don't need electric light at all during the day in any of the major rooms of the house. The kitchen, master bedroom, any of the kids' rooms, front entrance, you don't even need electric light during the day. So I mean, that's a key too. Greg, any final thoughts for David before we have him give his final thoughts for the listeners out there?
I would say read his blog. I love it, man. I was checking out your sketchbook. All those are cool, little do's and
Yep.
don'ts, and the articles you do, they're awesome. So I encourage everyone to check it out.
David.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's conversations like this where you're actually tackling the issues head on and calling spades spades and saying, hey, why are we doing it this way? I mean, this is the kind of thing that needs to keep happening and keep growing so that lighting can be what it can be. We can help people live better lives. That's ultimately what we do as lighting designers, is help people live better lives. And right now, we're helping a really small fraction of the people out there.
Hmm.
And why not help more people? Like this kind of thing and getting out there. There's enough of us, we could help everybody if we just started moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's why everyone needs to get that Nuvo Traveler Cup. Greggy, show them for all the peeps out there from Energy Focus. Bring that with you. You want to clean the air? Listen, folks, this distinction needs to be made right now. Okay, UV is two different things. There's surface disinfection, which does nothing to stop COVID-19. It's an aerosol. Okay, COVID-19 is in the air. Okay, it's not on surfaces. So you can clean your hands till you're blue in the fist with alcohol wipes or whatever the hell you're doing. And you can scrub all your surfaces down, and yeah, maybe you'll get the salmonella off the table, okay, which is what's on the table. But COVID-19 is in the air, which is why you need that Nuvo Traveler, brother. Bring it around with you. I'm ordering. I didn't even realize. I thought Greg Eric was talking about his margarita, but he's not. He's talking about cleaning the air wherever he goes. Like, come on, folks, this is a great way. If you want to, offer people some security that actually is doing something. So people are reaching right now for solutions because they're scared of the virus. This thing works. It cleans the air where COVID-19 lives. SARS-CoV-2 lives in the air, folks. So let's go. Let's go with the UV. Get those fixtures in there, Greg Eric. Start selling right now. nuvo.us. That's Energy Focus's new website for their Nuvo line of UV disinfecting fixtures and all sorts of stuff, Greg.
That's right. You mentioned everything right there. Filter-free technology, rechargeable battery, 4 hours. Drive it, bring it in your car, bring it to your office, home, everywhere you go. You got it.
What a fantastic idea. Wow. Most viruses that you're going to catch are going to be airborne, aerosol. That's right. Bring that thing around with you. Get the fixtures they have. Go to nuvo.us right now for Energy Focus's line. And of course, they're a proud member of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. And if you want to learn more about active air disinfection, about passive air disinfection, about surface disinfection, what's good, what application, you got to get into LS Evolve, which is our ongoing training program. That's right. Get into LS Evolve. We have the world's #1 expert in UV technology. That's right. Fred Van Leerup created our ultraviolet UV by disinfection system. So you got to get into Nailed and start taking LS Evolve, and you'll know all this stuff I know because we give it to all of our members for free. That's right. And if you made it to the end here, all David's stuff will be posted on the website, getagriponlighting.com. And of course, we love all you guys and gals out there that have listened to the end. Always. We are very grateful. Bye for now.